Welcome to the Progress Texas Happy Hour.
Welcome back to the Progress Texas Happy Hour. I'm Executive Director Kathleen Thompson.
And I'm Podcasting Director Chris Mosier.
The upcoming runoffs in the special elections for State Senate in Tarrant County's District 9 and the concurrent Harris County Congressional CD 18 represent the next step towards righting the ship for representation here in the Lone Star State.
Both of these elections, importantly, are being held separately from the primary election, which is coming up in March. Election day for both of these runoffs is in just a few days. It's coming up on Saturday, January 31st, this month, with early voting, obviously, starting earlier than that on Wednesday, January 21st.
And we've been covering both of these very important special elections extensively. But today we're focused on the Fort Worth area, and we're so glad to welcome back the Democratic candidate in the race back for an update. Welcome to the pod, Taylor Rehmet.
Hey, thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all welcoming me back. It's good to be here, and I'm excited to discuss the issues with y'all.
Very, very good. Taylor, this is the first time that we've seen you face-to-face since you took the popular vote in this special election to replace outgoing Republican State Senator Kelly Hancock. There was a fair amount of shock about that and a lot of celebration about that. When you came very close to winning outright, you took 47.6% of the vote, just shy of the 50% that you would have needed to end it, topping second placer and your current runoff candidate, Republican Leigh Wambsganss, by over 10 points. So would you please think back to early November, which seems like, decades ago now, but think back to that time, and would you please share your thoughts upon hearing those results for the first time in that initial three-way election?
Yeah, absolutely. So I knew what we had here from the beginning. I knew that we were here to do the work, show up and actually talk and have these conversations with voters. And I wasn't surprised by me being at the top, but I got to be honest, we did even better than we expected.
Sure.
So, it was, it really just kind of validated our feelings in the fact that, it is popular to have, politics as an engaging thing between people where it's actually more about, community and what we care about, and hearing the issues and building the platform off of what people are actually wanting in this Senate district. I think that that's what happens. And you can see I only spent $150,000 compared to their, $6 million combined.
Right.
Massive.
And this is because we can be outspent, but we cannot be outworked. When you have organic grassroots campaigns like this one right here, you get those volunteers that are in it for the right reasons and that are excited for what we're doing and joining us in this fight. Because if we, stick together, we come together in unity in a cause, we win. That's what it comes down to.
It's really interesting. We've gotten used to thinking of money as being almost a definitive advantage or disadvantage when it comes to elections anymore. And that special election with you and that massive funding disparity really proved that to be kind of poppycock, frankly.
Yep.
Talk about that. Talk about your feelings about how this, your situation in particular, what does it say about that assumed influence of big money in elections? And also tell us about how you and your team, fast forwarding now from November back to now, how you and your team are considering the playing field of the runoff as being different from the initial playing field of the special election with three candidates in there.
So, the first part of your question, it's much cheaper to spread a good and honest message.
Yeah.
So you don't need as much money if you're listening to people champion their issues and spreading, hope and positivity, and to spread a bad message and, something that doesn't really land with voters. It takes a lot of money, as we saw, and it still doesn't work. It's not enough. So, I'm hoping that that's a trend we see not just here, but across Texas and maybe even across the nation where, voters are paying attention, anytime people are feeling the squeeze of the economy and all these affordability issues, along with, other things that we have specific locally here, they're not going to be, they're going to see through the stuff that other politicians put out there. The only chance we have is to stick to the voters, stay loyal to them and their issues. And that's how you overcome a money advantage. You mentioned that a strategy change from the initial half of the special election to the runoff. There is no change. We're sticking to what we're doing. We're going and we're talking to voters. We're listening to voters, and we're engaging our volunteers and just building this community that I think is going to be something that lasts a long time here in Tarrant.
Taylor, your work in Senate District 9 is an early feature of the broader Democratic Party's attempt to flip Texas blue here in 2026. You have been intensely focused on the voters of SD9. You've been at community events. You've been at the doors. Can you talk to us about the feedback that you're getting from those voters?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple things, people are looking for something different. That's the overarching thing. But to break it down even further, people are upset about our schools. We have a TEA takeover going on here in Fort Worth. That had already happened in Houston, and it's causing a lot of problems. People are feeling uncertain about not just the affordability for themselves and their family, but now about their kids' education. And folks got to have something to look forward to, and these are things that could be easily fixed if we actually had people who are governing at the state legislature.
Absolutely. To expand on affordability a little bit, Taylor, would you give us a clear picture of why this election matters, of what you'd be able to do as a Texas state senator? Of course,
Yeah.
you'd be part of the minority in that body, at least at the outset.
Sure.
What can be done at the state Senate level to quickly and meaningfully do something about the continuing and even accelerating rise in the cost of living that Texans are observing in their everyday lives every single day?
I mean, first thing I can think of is, being that we will have 12 senators when I'm elected, the Republican Party is going to have to actually come and negotiate when it comes to constitutional amendments and when it comes to appointments. So
Right.
there's the playing field's getting more even with this election. And I'm hoping it inspires others, across the state to run. And I think in a lot of ways it has, at least here locally. We have a lot of candidates here, and so I'm hoping that there's more to come from this. First, we do need to get rid of this voucher scheme that's happening here in Texas. That's a high priority of mine. The maintenance and operation of these schools historically has been taken care of by the state in higher percentages. I would like to see that come back and us have our state funding take care of these schools' maintenance and operations so that the local taxpayers' property taxes come down. That would be just one way we could look at this. And I think that would have, shockwaves in other areas where we would see stuff get a little bit easier for folks.
I think the Texas legislature has done a really good job making sure that people have no idea why their property taxes are so high.
Right.
Because it's your local property taxes. So it must be the people who are on the school board who are doing this to you, who are, who are in control of the local schools, or the medical hospital fees that are on your tax bill. I mean, people get their tax bill, they can read it. If you're renting, your landlord is passing those taxes on to you.
Yes.
But people don't understand that and this is part of our ongoing work at Progress Texas, when the state of Texas does not fully fund education, then the local independent school districts are raising property taxes to not even fully fund the schools. They're not fully funded, but to make up the difference.
Right.
And so when your property taxes are through the roof and some people are being taxed out of their homes, it's a major problem. And I think that what you're saying, Taylor, is so important about that moderating. In 2018, from Beto O'Rourke's big, he didn't win the Senate race, but got closer than we ever had. 12 state reps were elected on the Democratic side, 2 state senators, and then judicial races across the state. The Republicans came to the table on education and other issues, and it was one of the best sessions of moderation because they feared voters a little bit.
Right.
So I just wanted to echo what you're saying about how important it is to have that additional 12 seat, and how that can moderate some positions and force Republicans to come to the table when they're planning their future legislation. Taylor, let's stay on public education. The voucher scam is underway. Those public funds are going to be going away from our schools. Can you talk to us a little bit more about when you're elected, what more can we do besides the voucher scam elimination to fully fund our public schools to make things better for our students and families?
I think another big way we could do that is a lot of the subsidies we just give away here in Texas for investment. Nothing wrong with coming and investing in Texas, but you at least need to invest full price. I mean, someone's got to pay the bill for the lack of those tax revenue coming in, right? And so, that would just be another simple way to get some more funding for these schools. Yeah, and we can get creative out here. There's many other ways. I'm hoping to see that if we have any new industries come here, that we could apply a special tax to them. Nothing crazy, but just something to start chipping money away towards schools and not away from schools. That's what I would like to see. Public schools, that is.
It's interesting that that shortfall that ends up happening at the local level because of the lack of the state meeting their obligations for public schools has fed into the narrative that they've used to justify the voucher system itself. The idea that people are going to, someone who might opt for private school, and that's perfectly fine, but they've had it put into their minds that this is their tax money going to their school, when it really should be about, treating public education what it is, which is a public good that serves our entire society. And so, these are definitely problems that could be fixed with some more responsible state level funding for our schools. One more here, Taylor, and this is kind of along the same line. Let's talk healthcare for a second. Increasingly, healthcare, insurance is simply out of reach for way too many people in Texas, people who are working full-time jobs, people who are working pretty good paying full-time jobs in a lot of cases, simply cannot afford healthcare insurance because it's out of control. The action we've seen with the ACA lately is going to make that a lot worse for some people if they don't manage to get their act together in DC, which is, of course, very much a question mark. Talk again about the role as a state senator, what the Texas State Senate can do to intervene in that problem as well, which goes alongside the problems of affordability in general and education in particular. Healthcare is right there on top for a lot of the people who are going to be voting in this runoff.
Absolutely. We could do a lot, really. Allocating money, you look at the surplus we have, or, the rainy day fund, it's over $30 billion. To me, that's just money that we should be using for our taxpayers because that's our money. And so we should build a supplemental program for Texans by Texas to give access to healthcare. As a state, we should be a good steward of our money for the taxpayers, and that's just one way to do it. I mean, $30 billion, we could start building a program that would get every person some insurance here in Texas. We need to build that and start building it better every single legislative session. There's no start here, and I'm hoping to start something like that. That would be something really cool. I'd love to work towards.
You're going to be up against an existing obstacle that we've talked about this. Actually, in particular, I'm remembering a conversation that we had at the beginning of the last regular session with Dallas State Senator Nathan Johnson, and we asked him about what is the reason that Republicans generally lean on for their refusal to accept the expansion of Medicaid. And he didn't have a good answer for that question because there is no good answer for that question, because the Republicans themselves are very much just dug in against what they perceive as Obamacare. And so there's, they themselves don't have real solid reasons for foregoing this, very easy step that our state could take, like so many other states, so many other red states, so many other Republican dominated states have accepted this. Exactly. So
Utah.
There's simply no reason. So Taylor, you'll be up against that.
I will be, and that's okay. I'm used to punching above my weight and having to outwork folks. So I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Taylor, as we wind down here, let's spend a little bit of time talking about the other person on the ballot. Leigh Wambsganss is one of the most notorious MAGA right-wing crusaders in North Texas. She's an executive with Patriot Mobile, who were architects of the highly destructive hard right takeovers of multiple North Texas school boards, including my home district, Grapevine-Colleyville ISD. She's an associate of white Christian supremacist groups and organizations like the True Texas Project, which longtime advocates like me know that was the Northeast Tarrant Tea Party that rebranded after being named an extremist group by the nonpartisan Southern Poverty Law Center, just a completely off the rails far right group. So this is a runoff of a special election for an incomplete state Senate term, which every single vote counts huge, especially considering the stark differences between you and Leigh. Give us your pitch to those Senate District 9 voters, why it's so important, not only for them to choose you, but sometimes you vote for a candidate, sometimes you vote against a candidate. In this case, you can do both.
Yeah. My opponent campaigns in the world of outrage. And I just don't believe in that. I think that we need to focus on the issues. And I think we need to focus on like uplifting working people. And anything aside from that, especially campaigning in the world of outrage, that is nothing but a distraction from what we need to do here, especially as we have to be the best. We have to make sure that we are standing above all the outrage and just focusing on how to create measurable benefits and better life for those that live and work here. Homeless veterans, underfunded schools, stuff like this. Like these are the issues that I hold sacred, right? And I feel like that's going to be the center of my campaign. This is not red or blue, it's right versus wrong. And this is where we have to find out who we really are. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. I only care if you want better for your state. Are you paying attention to what's going on? And are you going to make your voice heard? Because when I'm elected, I need to be held accountable. That means coming to my town halls. That means coming and telling me what's going on and what y'all care about. Really, that's a stark difference between us, right? She had said that she didn't want to even have town halls. She'll do like one-on-ones in an interview at some point. It's like, that is the total opposite of what I'm standing for. And my priorities are with the people, not donors. And that's why I don't take corporate special interest money.
Very, very good. It definitely feels like the tide is turning up in Tarrant County and in this particular district. And so we're super glad that you're in position to take advantage of that. We've noticed that, we're at that stage of the game where engaged people who are paying attention, know that there's a midterm election coming up in March. It takes like the super engaged to understand that there's an election before that, the special election runoff. And so there are a great many people in your district who are just unaware. They, even if they're somewhat tuned in, they know about March, but they may not understand that they have to do this very, very important vote coming up at the end of January. So talk about anything else you'd like to throw in before we wrap up in terms of activating those voters, getting the word out, anything that people need to know about in order for them to be able to support you in your campaign.
Yes, I would appreciate if anyone feels enthralled to join this campaign through a donation or through volunteering. You can do that at taylorfortx.com. I know that people are really upset because a lot of the stuff we're seeing in politics now is outrage. And if you do feel, like you're upset or you feel hopeless, it's always good to maybe find a local campaign near you that you resonate with, that you believe in, and get involved. Volunteer, go block walk for them, go phone bank, or just go check in and see if they have an office and just talk to them and build that community and just try and, stay engaged. I think that's what it all takes for us to flip this state and bring it towards a better future.
Democratic candidate for State Senate District 9, Taylor Rehmet. Taylor, you've already become such an inspiration for progressives and working folks across the state. Thank you so much for your hard work. We're going to be watching, and best of luck on the 31st.
Thank you so much.
Our mission at Progress Texas is to improve and save Texans' lives by acting on our shared, bold, progressive values, and that starts with countering the billionaire and corporate-funded disinformation machine. While we enjoy the support of hundreds of partners, chances are that you, dear listener, haven't joined the team yet. If you're a regular, let's get you on board right now at progresstexas.org. For Kathleen Thompson and Taylor Rehmet, I'm Chris Mosier. We'll catch you again next time.